Hello and welcome back to Star History Blitz. My name is Mrs. B. Gonzalez, and today we're going to be reviewing all the battles and events of the American Revolution. So let's get started. Here are some detailed key points that we're going to be reviewing in this video lesson. Now, we left off on the Intolerable Acts after the colonists did the Boston Tea Party. Parliament came in and punished the colonists with the Intolerable Acts. Well, this prompted the colonists to meet, and they met at the First Continental Congress in 1775. At that Congress, at that meeting, they decided to do a couple of things. One, they were going to petition the king. They were going to write a list of grievances, send it to the king, kind of like this is our last attempt at making peace with the king. Now, additionally, in that meeting, they also said, hey, let's start collecting weapons and supplies because it kind of seems like war is going to be inevitable. And so they started doing that. They also set up a militia, which is a group of volunteer men who were not necessarily trained soldiers, but they were going to be willing to fight. They also set up Minutemen, men who would be ready within a minute's notice to fight. As they're doing this, word does get to the British soldiers in Boston, and they hear that all these weapons and supplies are being collected in Lexington, Massachusetts. So they start to march to Lexington. All along the way, Paul Revere hears about this and decides to go ahead of them and starts to warn everyone that the British are coming. This famously becomes known as the Midnight Ride. He gets to Lexington before the soldiers do, and he warns them, and so they're able to move the weapons and supplies further away. When the British get to Lexington, it's the British Army and 60 militiamen or 60 Minutemen, and nobody knows who shoots, but the shot is fired. This becomes known as the shot heard around the world because, it's a hyperbole. It didn't really happen. You can't really hear it around the world, but they just wanted to show how important this event was. So the Battle of Lexington and Concord was the first battle of the American Revolution. After this first battle, the colonists decide to meet again, right? And they meet at the Second Continental Congress in 1775. They met and voted to join the fight, to fight with Massachusetts. Washington is appointed commander-in-chief of their Continental Army, and Thomas Jefferson is chosen to write the Declaration of Independence in 1776. Now, what's important about the Declaration of Independence? 1, 1776. 2, Thomas Jefferson wrote it. 3, he defined what unalienable rights are in order to fight against tyranny. Unalienable rights, also known as natural rights, are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These ideas, these unalienable rights, he got the idea from John Locke, right? He was the one that said, hey, we're all born with these natural rights. He also got the idea about a social contract, that the purpose of government is to protect the rights of the people. And if government is not protecting those rights, then the people have the right to overthrow this government that's oppressing them. Additionally, he also wrote grievances, a list of complaints. Some of these grievances including for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for dissolving our representative assemblies, for keeping among us in times of peace standing armies. When he wrote this declaration, John Adams and Benjamin Franklin helped revise the Declaration of Independence, and once they were ready, it was time to sign. And John Hancock is actually the first to sign his name on it, and he signed it really big because he wanted to show his commitment to independence, to liberty. So the war continues, and on this next battle, it is the Battle of Saratoga, 1777. This battle is an American victory. We haven't won the war, but we won this battle. And the importance of this battle is that it proved that we had a fighting chance against Britain. All this while, Benjamin Franklin has gone over to France and has been asking for French support. And France says, you know what? Okay, we will ally with you, America. We will send you weapons, supplies, and a navy. So the Battle of Saratoga becomes known as the turning point of the American Revolution because France allies with us. We then continue and winter sets in, and the Continental Army with George Washington waits out the winter at Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. Now, the winter is very, very difficult for these troops, and Washington sees this. He sees that a lot of them don't have shoes, they don't have warm clothing, they don't have food. He even sends a letter to Congress showing his compassion and his concern for his troops. Even though a lot of them did die, people like the Marquis de Lafayette, a French general, helps motivate and discipline the soldiers during that time. After the winter, the fighting continues, and we started in the north and we're moving down south, and the last battle of the American Revolution takes place at Yorktown, Virginia, 1781. This is where the British general Cornwallis has to surrender and give up because he is surrounded. The French and the American forces have surrounded him, and behind him he has the French Navy, and so he has to give up. That becomes the last battle of the American Revolution. The war finally officially ends when the Treaty of Paris of 1783 is signed. This officially ended the Revolutionary War. Britain recognized the United States as an independent nation, and now the United States stretches from the Atlantic Ocean, right, the East Coast, all the way to the Mississippi River. That is the United States of America. So here's just another quick timeline, and I'm going to go through it really quick. Lexington and Concord, first battle. We then signed the Declaration of Independence. After that, we have the turning point, which is the Battle of Saratoga. We wait out the winter at Valley Forge. And finally, the British surrender at the Battle of Yorktown. And we are officially the United States when we sign the Treaty of Paris. Moving on to the rest of the revolutionary figures, we know that George Washington is our commander-in-chief of the Continental Army. Now, here's a very, very important person. John Paul Jones is an American patriot who is a captain of the Navy. That's fighting on water. So he receives the Congressional Medal of Honor for all of his naval war victories at sea. We discussed Marquis de Lafayette, how he's a French general and ally who came and helped us during the winter at Valley Forge. Wentworth Cheswell fought in the Battle of Saratoga, and he actually became the very first African-American judge. John Adams is a patriot who helped revise the Declaration of Independence. James Armistead was an African-American spy for the American colonies. Benjamin Franklin also revised the Declaration of Independence and asked France for help, creating the turning point at the Battle of Saratoga. And of course, Thomas Jefferson is the author of the Declaration of Independence. This concludes the battles and events of the American Revolution. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.